back painting with Jessie. She's going to be teaching you how to paint Summer Sunset in just about an hour. And if you're brand new, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Again, Jessie will also be teaching you Summer Sunset. We're really excited. We said we had a record number of people sign up, so we're really excited about this class. So thank you, everybody. Just a couple of things to remind you that if you are watching this class and you want to go back at any time and watch, you can do that on michaels.com on their community classroom page. So this video and all their other videos from their program, Community Classroom, are available to watch after, which is great. So you can watch it on demand. So if you're just watching tonight to be inspired, or you want to go back and paint again, or you missed something, you want to check out their Community Classroom. You can get all the supplies for this painting and our others that we have taught with Michaels on michaels.com. You can have them delivered right to your door. You can also get them in the store. So you could head to your store. You could also do curbside pickup. I think some stores are also still doing delivery. So a ton of options to get all your product. If you have questions during this, let us know. Put them in the chat and I will respond to them, or I will relay them to Jessie and we'll try to answer you while we're live. And also at the end, as always, we'll be picking a winner from the chat at random, and we'll be giving away $50 worth of plaid product. So lots to tell you guys. Yeah, excited tonight. This is an amazing painting, and if you love the beach or you haven't been able to get to the beach, I think this is a good one for summer. It's still summer. I know lots of schools are starting, but I still don't want to give up summer. So we're excited to paint this one. So yeah, we'll get started. And again, let us know if you have questions and we can walk you through them, talk you through everything. So I think Jessie's gonna get started.
Okay, cool. Hey guys, like Kira said, my name is Jessie. Hey John, can I trouble you to turn this fan off real quick? Yeah. My napkins are blowing away. He warned me and I kept the fan on anyway. So I'm gonna let you guys know what supplies you'll need for our summer sunset painting. So you can see here, this one is a 12 by 12 canvas that I have the example painted on. But I've got a 10 by 10 canvas here in front of me, and it's going to be the exact same painting. It's really not going to change much. It's just going to be a little bit smaller. So any square size canvas will work for this. Even if you have a wider one, if you've got a rectangular canvas, that's totally fine. You're just going to stretch out your painting a little bit. It's all going to be the same thing. So any size canvas will do for this painting. But like I said, I've got a 10 by 10. I've also got my palette paper here, which is just wax coated paper. If you're not familiar, you can get this at Michaels. And I like to use this, but if you have paper plates or, styrofoam plates, whatever you like to put your paint on, that works. I've got some paper towels here for cleaning my brushes. I've got my water basin. So any Tupperware you've got at home, you like to wash your brushes in, that's what you need. I've got some stencil tape here, or if you've got painter's tape or really any kind of masking tape, go ahead and grab that. If you don't have masking tape or painter's tape, you can just use a piece of paper. So just grab it like a scrap piece of paper, but tape is gonna be easier. So we're gonna be taping off our horizon line. So go ahead and grab that. And then we're gonna be using our Craft Smart brushes tonight, which I got at Michaels. And we're mostly gonna be using this 3/4 inch flat brush. So a 1 inch flat will do, even a 1/2 inch flat will be totally fine. So some sort of medium to large flat brush. And then we're going to also be using our smaller flat brush. So this one is a number 8 flat. So like I said, like a 1/2 inch flat or a 1/4 inch flat, something around there will be fine for this. It doesn't have to be super specific because we're really just doing a lot of ombre and dry brushing tonight for this painting. And then as always, we're going to be using our FolkArt acrylic paints. So we have Wicker white, which is just white paint. So whatever sort of colors you have at home, if you want to substitute, if you weren't able to go to Michaels and get all of these colors right away and you want to just paint it later, whatever you've got at home in your craft stash is totally fine. So like I said, I've got Aqua here. So this is a pretty aqua color. I've got Wicker white, but any white paint will do. I've got Hot Pink, which is a really fun, bright pink color. And then I've also got Sunny Yellow. So any bright, medium yellow will do. If you got Daffodil Yellow or medium yellow, that's fine too. If you don't have aqua, you can mix this color. If you've got just sort of the primary colors at home, you can put some blue and a little touch of yellow and you'll get an aqua color. So you might need a little bit of white too, but like a regular cobalt blue or like an ultramarine, and then put just a little touch of yellow, not enough to make it green, just to make it a little bit warmer so that you'll get this nice aqua blue color. So if you don't have those, hopefully you have yellow and blue at home to substitute. And then I also have in front of me a hair dryer. So I think you guys got a message that you'll need a hair dryer for this painting because we are going to be layering. So we don't want to paint wet on wet because we don't want, you can see we've got some warm colors and some cool colors sort of layered on this painting, and we don't want to blend those because of course they'll get muddy and they'll turn brown, and that's not what we want for this beautiful sunset. So make sure that you've got your hair dryer here because we're going to be pausing a couple of times to dry. But if you're just watching this painting now, you're going to paint later, you can just pause the video, of course. If you're going to watch it on YouTube on michaels.com. So don't worry about that if you're just here for inspiration for now. So that said, I think we're ready to get started. You think we're ready, Kira?
Yeah, I think we're good. People are just asking different colors they can use. So absolutely any substitutions, yellow for yellow. If you want a purple sky, go for it. But I think a lot of them are asking, you know, if we don't have the exact colors, if that's okay. And we can definitely talk about that as you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Kira said, sunsets can be any color of the rainbow. So use whatever you've got at home, whatever you think will be beautiful for your painting.
Yep.
Okay.
Real quick,
to start us off.
Yeah. There's just so many chats. Tyler, could you make sure Jesse is spotlighted? I think I might be spotlighted.
I see me. I see my overhead.
Okay, good. Okay, somebody just said it, so I want to just make sure that you guys aren't staring at my face and you're actually seeing you in the painting.
Yeah, I see my overhead, so hopefully.
Okay, good. Nobody needs to see this for an hour.
No, they do need to see it. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, we're using our FolkArt acrylic paints. As always, that's our favorite paint to use. And I'm going to put a little bit of our sunny yellow, which is this pretty bright yellow color, onto my palette. I put between a nickel and a quarter sized amount. You'll see I always like to put a little bit of paint at a time because I can always add more and I don't want to waste my paints. I'm going to put a little bit of hot pink, just about the same amount. And then we're going to put a little bit of wicker white. Like I said, any white paint will do. So first, we're going to do a little bit of mixing. So I want to get a nice light pink color. So you probably know if you're a painter, we're going to grab, I have my 3/4 inch flat brush. That always makes me stumble. So our 1 inch flat brush is fine too. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of my hot pink. And then I'm going to put in a little bit of white. And we're going to mix those together because we're looking for a nice light pink color like you can see up here. So I'm going to add a little bit more white because I want it to be a little lighter than that. And I'm going to mix a little more paint because I think I'm going to need more paint than that. So I'm just doing 1 part hot pink and 1 part white to get a nice baby pink color. And if you've got a color already in your FolkArt stash at home that's similar to this color, you can just go ahead and use that. You don't need to mix it then.
Right. And some people are worried if they don't have a hair dryer, it's okay. You can absolutely let it air dry.
Yeah, if you don't have a hair dryer, it shouldn't take too long. It's a really quick, fun, simple painting. So just go ahead and start painting with us. And then if you've got a fan or something, it's great to stick in front of it. But even if you don't, just keep painting with really thin coats. And our FolkArt acrylic paints dry really quickly. So as long as you're using nice thin coats, and we're going to be adding a little bit of water for blending tonight, it really should dry pretty fast. So
yeah, you can even do one of these, right? Like just get some air on it.
Yeah, fan it with a piece of paper, yeah. Yeah, definitely don't stress about that because even if you do get a little bit behind, nothing's going to be too crazy for this painting, so it'll be easy for you to catch up. Don't stress. Okay, so like I said, I mixed my hot pink and my wicker white, and I mixed it using my 3/4 inch flat brush to get this nice light pink color. And then whenever I mix paint with my paintbrush, I always wipe the excess off because when you have this much paint on your paintbrush, you can't control how much paint goes onto your canvas. It's just going to be like a big mop slopping paint around. So you always want to make sure you wipe off any excess paint before we start painting on our canvas. So I'm going to get this color and I'm going to start painting the top of my canvas from left to right, back and forth. So you can see I'm holding my brush upright and I'm going left to right. I'm starting at the very top of my canvas, going right up to the edge and make sure I get that edge. And I'm just going left to right, nice and evenly, a nice, even, thin coat of paint, just enough to cover the canvas. So I'm going to dip my brush in just a little bit of water. I'm not going to dunk it. I just want to dip the tip in so I can get it to be really smooth. So I'm gonna pick up a little, I'm not gonna clean my brush. So you might be thinking, oh, your instinct is to clean your brush when you go to a new color, but we're not gonna clean our brush for this. I'm gonna pick up just the tiniest bit of yellow. So can you see how much yellow I have on there? I just dipped the very tip of my brush in the yellow. And we're gonna go right beneath it, and we're gonna keep going left and right. And if you feel like your brush is dragging a little bit, you can either add more paint, or you can just dip your brush in a little bit of water, and that'll help smooth it out. So again, I'm going left to right, and I'm dipping my brush. I'm not putting a ton of water on here. I'm not going for like a really watercolor effect. I just wanna rehydrate my brush to keep it going nice and smooth. So now I've got my pink and then my yellow, and we're just gonna keep going back and forth. I'm gonna pick up, I haven't cleaned my brush. We're gonna pick up a little bit of white, and I'm gonna go over the yellow. So we've got white, and we're going right over the yellow to lighten it up a little bit. And I'm sort of blending it with the pink.
Yep, I think everybody's just getting caught up.
Okay, cool. We'll slow down a little bit. So you can see I'm going all the way off the canvas, back and forth, all the way off the edge. If you stop in the middle, you're gonna end up with marks in the middle. You see that? That's how you get a nice, smooth ombre, is you wanna go left to right without stopping. You just need to really commit to the brush strokes and go left to right, and don't hesitate.
And someone asked,
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. How often should you rehydrate? I love that word, your brush. So basically, if it starts to pool, add water.
Yep, whenever you feel your brush dragging. If it's not, mine just slipping and sliding super smoothly off the canvas. As soon as I feel it dry, as soon as I feel it starting to tug a little bit, like it's just starting to pull, like Kira said, you want to get a tiny, just a little bit of water, like just the very tip of your brush in water. You don't want to dunk it. You don't want it to be super watery, because that's just going to dilute your paint. And we definitely don't want to dilute these paints, because that'll just make our colors duller, and it'll be harder to get full coverage. So you just want to dip the very tip in water just to keep it nice and smooth. If you're watering your paint down at all, you've got too much water. Any other questions while we're just waiting a second for people to catch up, Kira?
People are asking what you mixed. So if you want to just go back over.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we'll start from the beginning since we haven't gotten super far, just to give people a chance to jump in. So I've got Sunny Yellow, Hot Pink, and Wicker White on my palette. And then I mixed 1 part Hot Pink and 1 part Wicker White to get this pretty light pink color. It's sort of a baby pink. So I took my 3/4 inch flat brush, and I grabbed some of that baby pink, and I went left to right at the very top of the canvas. And then I didn't clean my brush. I picked up some Sunny Yellow, and I went right beneath it and just sort of overlapped the pink, so it blended into this pretty sherbet orange color. And then I continued by adding white into my yellow, because it was really bright. See, I'm dipping it because I felt it dragging a little. I'm putting white right on top of it, just to sort of calm down that yellow a little. We want it to be a little more pastel and not quite so bright. That's why I'm putting some white onto it, just to make it a little more subtle. And again, I'm just going back and forth, not doing anything fancy. Back and forth, left to right across my canvas without stopping. Okay, so we're gonna keep going down. Hopefully everybody's catching up. I'm gonna grab some more white. So I just have white on my brush now. I still haven't cleaned it, so I do have yellow and pink inside my brush, but I just loaded white to my brush, and I'm gonna keep going below. You can see there's a little pink in there, and that's okay. I'm gonna put a little more white on my palette because I've already used it up. So I'm going left and right, and you can see that it's just white there. You probably can't see it actually because my canvas is white, but I've just got white paint right there, and we're gonna continue to blend it. We're gonna overlap where we have that yellow. And the thing when you're doing an ombre like this, you really don't want to stop. So I'm kind of pausing a little bit just because I don't want people to get behind, but it's really not a good idea to hesitate or to pause at all while you're doing this ombre, because once it starts drying, you're no longer able to move those colors. As soon as it starts drying, your brush is going to drag even more, and it's going to start getting gummy. So you either want to paint on super wet paint or super dry paint. You don't want to paint on half dry paint because you're just going to start pulling up the paint beneath it, and that's not what we want. We want it to either blend into the paint or sit on top of the paint. So again, we're just going left to right. We're not stopping in the middle. We're going from edge to edge, and you probably are going to be splattering things on either side when you hit the bristle on the edge, but that's okay. That's how you know you're getting a good ombre, when everything around you is getting splattered. And again, I'm just picking up paint on my, water on my brush whenever I feel it start to drag. And we're going light pink into yellow into white. And we're gonna go about halfway down our canvas. We're just gonna sort of eyeball it. We're not gonna measure, but you can see I'm about halfway down now. It sort of ends right there. And I'm not gonna go any further than that. I'm just making sure it's nice and blended. And I am gonna put a little more pink at the top because it's not quite as much. You can see in my original painting, I have a lot more pink coming down. I kind of like that. So I'm gonna pick up some of this baby pink I mixed, make sure my brush is nice and wet, and I'm gonna go back up and I'm gonna blend more pink in there. Again, it's a little bit dry up there, so I'm gonna make sure that I have water on my brush so I don't mess up that beautiful smooth ombre that I already painted up there. And again, I'm picking up water, not a ton, just enough to keep my strokes nice and smooth. Since we're sort of painting over this again and again and again, and acrylic paints really like to dry quickly. So that's why we're just picking up a little bit of water as we go, not a ton. We definitely don't want to dilute the colors. And I'm sort of just continuing it down. So we've got, like I said, this really pretty sherbet sky. How are we doing here? Any questions?
No, I think people are just painting along. They said thank you for all the tips. They're trying to figure it out. And I think this is a great just how to create a simple ombre, whether you're doing a sunset or a landscape. This is a great technique because you can use it for all your different colors.
Yeah, you absolutely can. You can use it for if you're doing a blue sky. You could do. You're going to be doing an ombre for the ocean too, but just white and blue together. But it's also great for sunsets. So yeah, those are some of the things to remember. Make sure your paint stays wet. Don't stop in the middle. And you want your colors next to each other to be in the same family. That's not really a problem we're having here right now because pink and orange and white and the yellow all kind of go together. If they mix together, they're not going to get muddy. But say we're doing an ombre of green to red, where those colors meet in the middle, you're going to get brown. So maybe that's what you want, but I'm guessing it's probably not what you want. So you're probably better off doing like a blue to green or a purple to red, that sort of thing. So just something to keep in mind for your future ombre paintings.
And then people are also asking about the sides of the canvas.
Yeah, I'm working on a 10 by 10 canvas right now. This one here is a 12 by 12 that I have my little example painted on. So any size will work. You can do square or you can do rectangle, make a longer landscape, which is fine. You'll just extend your ombre a little bit further. So any size or shape canvas will work for this.
Yep.
We're not going to be doing measurement. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. And you can do your sides also.
Yeah, you can do your sides. You can paint them now if you want, just sort of carefully and making sure not to get it into your ombre on the top. You can sort of blend it. Or a lot of times I just like to go back and paint them all one color. Like I'll go back and paint it all white or blue or something just to clean it up. But yeah, you can totally paint your sides now. I always wait till the end. People always ask me that. You can see here I didn't even paint the sides on this one. I got lazy. But I will. I'll paint them later. I just like to focus on the canvas and then I'll paint the sides after. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and clean my brush now, guys. So while you guys are catching up, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take my hair dryer to this because we're gonna start painting. Our sky is done for now. We're gonna start painting our ocean. So I wanna make sure that this paint is dry because we want a nice crisp line here. We don't want our ocean colors blending into our sky because you won't be able to tell it's an ocean then. It'll just look like a big, beautiful ombre painting, but you won't be able to see the landscape. So we wanna make sure we have that crisp horizon. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna dry it right now. And in case you guys are wondering, I always forget to say this before I start drying. I like to switch back and forth between hot and cold on my hair dryer, and I usually put it on the highest setting just because I'm impatient. So I usually go on high, and like I said, I dry it with hot, and when I feel like it's getting a little bit too hot, I switch to cold, and I go back and forth. Just FYI. Just want to make sure it's nice and dry, especially the middle part. We want to make sure it's dry because that's where we're going to be painting on top of. And mine is nice and dry, so I think we're good to go. So go ahead, guys, and make sure yours is dry. Like we said in the beginning, if you don't have a hair dryer, just stick it in front of a fan or fan it down, and it really should dry in just a couple of minutes. It shouldn't take long at all, especially if you have nice thin coats of paint. So I get a clean paper towel because I'm going to start painting with my blue colors now. Okay, make sure I have all the pink out of my brush. Sorry, are you gonna say something, Kira?
No, I'm just reading all the comments. Thank you, everybody, for all the nice comments.
Oh.
And people are asking about other classes. So Jesse and I, or Kirsten and I, are typically here on Monday nights. So I know we have the next couple up, so you can sign up on michaels.com under the community classroom. And get signed up and paint along with us. So we've been doing this since May-ish.
Wow.
So thank you, Michaels, for having us. We love being with you guys. I know it's really fun. We get to see people post in our Plaid Let's Paint Facebook group. You guys should check that out because after, if you post your picture, I know Jesse and some of our other talented artists here go in and comment on them, and it's great to see what everybody's making. But it's amazing. Some people have done like 9 and 10 classes. It's truly awesome to see what everybody has done and just the progress and all the different styles and subjects. It's really awesome. So check out that Facebook group if you haven't.
Yeah, like Kira said, I love Monday nights. It's my favorite because it's so fun to get to paint with you guys. But I think I love Tuesday mornings even better because I get to go on the Let's Paint with Plaid Facebook group and I get to see everybody's paintings from the night before. So make sure you join that group and post your painting because we really love to see it.
Oh, Lena just said she's done every class. I love that.
That's awesome. Thanks, Lena. Welcome back. Very cool. All right. Okay, so we've got our ombre sky. I went ahead and I hit it with my hairdryer so it's nice and dry now. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick up my stencil tape. Like I said, if you've got like frog tape or, you know, masking tape, painter's tape, anything like that, I probably wouldn't recommend using like Scotch tape or something just because I don't think that it'll really adhere to your canvas and the paint might go under. But if you don't have tape, you can go ahead and you can grab like a piece of paper or something and use that to just draw a line or a ruler and you can just paint up to the line. So yeah, so it's going to be easier with tape, of course, because we're going to paint right over it and we're going to peel the tape off and have this nice clean line. But if you don't have it, don't stress. Just draw a line with a straight edge and you can just paint right up to it. So either way, it's good. So I'm gonna find a spot. I'm gonna grab a little brush, or a pencil, whatever you've got, and I'm gonna sort of mark where I want my horizon to be. So I'm gonna say about there. It looks good to me. And I'm gonna move my hand. I'm gonna try not to move it to the other side and mark there. So now I can kind of see. You can see any color is fine. I have yellow here, so you can't really see it that well, but I just marked 2 little spaces for where I want my tape to go. So again, it's a little bit above halfway. Let's see, I'm gonna double check that. I think I moved my hand a little. I think I did. I'm gonna move my line up. Oops. So again, I'm just eyeballing it. If you wanna grab a ruler and measure and make sure each side is even, feel free to do that. That's probably the better way to do it, but I'm just sort of guesstimating tonight. So I'm gonna grab my tape just enough to go all the way across my canvas. And I'm gonna tape my line. And don't forget, wherever your line is, it's going to be, I'm overlapping where my paint is, because that's how we did it so far down, so we have a nice transition. I'm going just over the bottom of where my ombre is, and I'm going to tape it down, keeping in mind that below the tape is where our new paint is going to be. I'm gonna tape it around the edges, So you can see here, it's my tape is really the same color as my paint, but I think when I tilt it, you can kind of see, there's the tape. So the tape is there. If you've got the same tape as me, if you've got stencil tape, make sure you remember where this tape is. Maybe grab a pen and make a couple of X marks on it. Because when you start ombreing, it's really easy to lose, and it's gonna be really easy to just go right up over that tape and forget about it. So hopefully you've got like bright green or bright blue or something at home, so it's not hard to lose. But if you do have this, go ahead, like I said, and grab a pencil and just make some marks on it so you can see where that line is.
That's a good tip.
Yeah, because when I was doing the practice, I was like, you can't see this tape at all, and I was so close to just ignoring it and forgetting it was even there. So, okay, so I'm going to grab some of my Aqua, which is this pretty, aqua color, this pretty bluish green. And like I said, if you don't have this and you just sort of have more of the primary colors, go ahead and grab like a cobalt or an ultramarine and mix it with just a touch of our sunny yellow, and you should get sort of a similar color to this. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna grab my 3/4 inch flat brush again and make sure it's nice and clean. I don't want any pink in it. And I'm gonna pick up some of my Wicker white to start, and I'm right at the tape line. I'm gonna start going back and forth just like we did for the sky. And I'm gonna pick up a little bit of water when I feel like I need to keep my paint nice and smooth. And when I'm doing an ombre, I feel that it's always best when my paint stays kind of thin. When it starts getting really thick, that's when it just starts to get messy and I start kind of losing control of where my ombre is going. So I like to really be in control of where the colors are blending and where they're staying really true to themselves. So I like to keep it a nice thin coat of paint. So just something to keep in mind. That's why I like to put that, because FolkArt acrylics are naturally just, by nature, they're just so thick and creamy, which is great because they have such a high pigment. But when we're really trying to blend like this, sometimes it's better just knock down that thickness a little bit with just a touch of water. So again, I've just got Wicker white. I'm going right up to my tape, just back and forth like we did the sky. Okay, so now I've just gone down, 2 or 3 inches. And just sort of guesstimating. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to pick up just a tiny touch of, haven't cleaned my brush, just a tiny touch of that Aqua. Can you see how I just sort of dipped the corner of my brush in there? I barely picked up any, and I didn't clean my brush yet. It's still Wicker white, and I just dipped the corner in Aqua. And I'm just going to keep on with the ombre. I'm just going to blend it right into my white. Just blending it right down. Put a little bit more. And you want to make sure that you have Aqua right up against that tape line, because if you think about it, where that tape is where your horizon is going to end. So you want a nice blue horizon to pop off of that whitish yellow. So you don't want a white horizon. We want to make sure we've got Aqua right up on that tape line. So that's a really nice pop when we pull the tape off. It's a good reveal moment.
So a lot of people are asking what ombre is, and I guess that's just like a term we throw out here on a daily basis. Like we're like, I'll just ombre it.
Yeah. Ombre is just painting a gradient. So yeah, I guess that's true. I didn't think about it. It's probably not the term that everybody uses. What were you gonna say, Kira?
Yeah, I just said it was a way in the chat, a way to really like blend your colors. Mm-hmm. So yeah, a gradient, a way to blend. You could do all one color, you could do multiple colors. So it's just a really great way to have like a smooth transition between your colors.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great explanation.
Again, a great question. Like that's a crafting term. Again, we just in my vocabulary.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I didn't think about it. I guess maybe not everybody says ombre. I'm pretty sure ombre started with like hair dye. It started like that's where like the term kind of got popular in like pop culture, like so to speak.
Also COVID roots. Like COVID roots when you don't get your hair dyed.
Yeah, exactly. It was like when it was darker roots and lighter at the bottom, and it was called an ombre. It was like a nice, pretty transition. And then we sort of do it with paint now. So yeah.
Yeah. And so people are asking, are you painting directly over the tape?
Yes, I am. I'm making sure not to go all the way to the other side of the tape, but I am overlapping the tape for sure. And that's when we put the tape down. So when we pull it up, there'll be that nice crisp edge that we masked off. So yes, paint it over the tape. Just make sure not to go over it onto the sky portion. And you're mixing aqua and white with water. And Exactly. I'm picking up a little bit of white here and there, and then I'm picking up a little bit of aqua here and there, and I'm just blending it right on my canvas. Again, just back and forth, because if you stop in the middle, look, I'll show you, I'll mess it up. If you stop in the middle, it starts getting really choppy. Do you see that? And if you want to keep that really beautiful, smooth effect, you've got to go left to right without stopping. And that's how you get that really beautiful, smooth appearance. As soon as you start stopping in the middle, that's when it starts getting uneven.
And if they go over the tape, how could they just let it dry and go back at the end when you remove the tape?
Yeah, totally. It'll be easy fix. If you just did it, go ahead and grab a wet paper towel and just wipe it right off, because this is dry now, so it'll be really easy to wipe wet paint off of it. But if it's been a minute and it's starting to dry on there, just hit it with your hair dryer, or like Kira said, just wait till the end and just go ahead and go back and touch it up a little bit with our white and yellow that we blended up there. It'll be an easy fix. That's acrylics are really forgiving. You can just paint right on top of anything if you feel like it's a mistake. That's why I love painting with acrylics. But yeah, and I always try to cut quick. Sorry.
No. We keep interrupting each other tonight.
I know.
We're usually in sync. Are you making the ocean darker at the bottom, or are you just doing a even?
I'm just sort of going, like making it a variation of blues. We're not really sort of going, like we did, the top was pink to yellow to white. This one, I'm just sort of adding blue here and adding white there. We're not doing any sort of specific gradient for this, because we're gonna go back and you're probably talking about these waves here. We're gonna go back and add those to the top after we dry it. So right now we're just getting our nice blue color down, and we're gonna go back and add the waves after. So yeah, don't worry about that. We're just sort of going sort of random right now. We're just making it look pretty. However you think it looks good. Just making sure we've got like a nice medium oceany blue going on.
It's really pretty.
Thanks.
I love the pink and the aqua and the yellow together.
I know, me too. Makes me want to be at the beach.
Me too.
Okay. So again, I'm just sort of going randomly. You can see there's really no rhyme or reason. Doesn't have to be just like mine. I'm just putting a little blue in here, a little white in here, just to make it interesting. And again, you don't want to put a ton of paint on your canvas. You want it to be a nice even coat. I got some crumbs in there. A nice even coat, so just keep that in mind. I'm sort of just, I'm probably overworking it at this point just because I want to make sure everybody's catching up. But if you feel like you're done, then go ahead and put your paintbrush down, because you probably are done. Whenever you feel like you're done means you probably were done like a minute and a half ago. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and clean my brush off. You can see I just sort of blended my aqua and my white. A little bug in here. I'm gonna make sure my brush is nice and clean. Okay, so now I'm gonna hit it with my hair dryer. So again, if you don't have a hair dryer, you can just hang on. Don't worry, we're not gonna do anything crazy. It'll be really easy to remember the steps. But if you do have your hair dryer, go ahead and dry your ocean now. see, make sure it's nice and dry. It's a little bit, so whenever you're testing to see if your paint is dry or not, see, it looks like it's all matte, which means that it's all dry, but I can feel some parts of it are a little bit cooler than other parts, and that means that it's still wet. Whenever your paint feels slightly cool, it's still wet, whether even is under the surface, so make sure you go back and continue drying it. You want it to be all nice and warm and dry. I think that should be good now. Okie dokie. So now is the fun part. I always love a good painter's tape reveal. So you can go ahead now and you can pull your tape off. Ta-da! Now you have a nice crisp horizon line. So that's another tip. Whenever you're painting seascapes, the horizon is always perfectly straight. So if you're used to painting landscapes, of course you could have rolling hills or mountains, and the horizon could be whatever shape that you can come up with, whatever is in your imagination. But for seascapes, you want it to look realistic. The sea, of course, is always completely flat. There's not going to be any bumps or anything in the distance like that. So just a little tip, if you're painting seascapes, you want to use tape and make sure that it's a nice, crisp, even line. You don't want any bumps because that's just going to take away from the realism. So we're going to keep going. We're using our 3/4 inch flat brush a lot for this painting. So I'm going to go ahead and pick it up, and we're going to do sort of, I think I saw some people asking in the chat if you could paint this this painting with watercolors, which you absolutely can. We're going to do sort of like a faux watercolor effect right now with our acrylic paints. So I rarely, if you've been watching my classes, I really don't usually like to water down my paint because it does take away from the pigment, and it just makes it really transparent. And I like my paint to be more opaque, so I get better coverage. But tonight we're going to use the transparency to our advantage, and we're going to purposefully water down some of our aqua. So you can see here, I really saturated my brush. I just dunked it in my water. Feel free to get clean water too if you're just getting super muddy. And I just grabbed a little bit of aqua. You can see hopefully how, can you see how transparent that is, Kira?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I had the chat popping up over mine. I couldn't see what it looked like on the screen. Okay. So you can see it's super watery. We basically just have like tinted water, which is what we're looking for this faux watercolor technique. So now we're going to start painting all of these pretty waves here. And this is just a way to add layers of color on top of acrylic paint without having to do all of that blending. So we just sort of did like some easy, sort of easy blending to get these ombre effects without having to get into these details. This is a little bit simpler of a way to get details on top of it. So again, we had a good bit of water, more water than we've been using tonight. And then I just grabbed a tiny bit of aqua, just a tiniest bit. We want mostly water and just a tiny bit of paint because we're doing sort of a fake watercolor technique. So I'm going to start from left to right. And again, if you've done our paint nights, you probably know we play with brush work a lot. So when you put a very little pressure on your brush, you get a thin line. And when you put a lot of pressure on your brush, you get a thicker line. So here, I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to start on the left. I'm going to hold my brush upright, and I'm going to start with a lot of pressure, and I'm going to go to the right, and I'm going to pull up as I go to make a thinner line. So here, I'll show you. I'm going to start by pressing down. Oops, I need a little bit more aqua. I underestimated how much I needed. Okay, so nice thick line, and then I'm going to pull up into a thin line. Can you see that there? We can just fill that in a little bit. We're going to sort of play with the thicknesses of our line to make these waves. So now maybe I'll start with a thin line here, and then I'll get thicker as I go by pressing down. Do you guys see that? So again, this is a way that, that some watercolorists, technique that watercolorists use, but we're doing sort of a fake one, a fake watercolor technique. So I'm going to keep doing this wherever I feel like there should be a wave. So I'm going to press down hard and then pull up, and I'm just going to continue going left to right. We have sort of these nice rolling waves on our beach. Maybe this is the Gulf or something where there's not very many waves. We just have a nice sort of even flow of waves. I don't know where you live, but that's the smallest waves that I go to anyway. So we have these nice rolling waves. Maybe it's even a bay or something, I don't know, but nothing crazy. So I'm gonna do one up here, I'm gonna press down, and then I'm gonna pull up. And something you do wanna keep in mind too, is that if you're used to painting any sort of landscapes or really anything at all, whatever's in the distance is gonna be smaller. So of course that's common sense, you guys already know that. So as our waves are getting further away, as they're getting more towards our tape line, we want our waves to be closer together, and that's gonna look like they're further away. So I'm gonna make a bunch of little ones up here to look like they're far. And the ones down here are gonna be further apart. And that's gonna give us some idea that we have sort of perspective going on in this painting. And press down and pull up.
And you have not removed the tape, correct?
I did remove the tape.
You did, okay, people were asking.
But if you feel better about leaving the tape on, you absolutely can. So if you're afraid you're gonna go over that really crisp line you made, feel free to leave the tape, and it's not gonna hurt, you can just peel it up later. But I went ahead and I pulled my tape up already. So it's up to you, kinda. So I'm gonna make it sort of dark up by my horizon line. So again, if you still have your tape on, maybe it's for the best, because I'm getting a little bit risky here up by where the tape line is. So I'm just being very careful because I want to sort of darken it in. Because when you think about it, whenever I look at the ocean, the further away it is, the darker it looks. It always gets sort of much lighter when it's close to you, and as it goes out towards the horizon line, it's deeper, of course, and so the water looks much darker. So I'm gonna sort of just left to right. You can see I still have this really watery paint. I'm just sort of putting in some darkness up there. I'm putting a couple more waves. And then I'll put maybe a couple more down here. Not too many, because like I said, I want it to look like it's closer to me. So they don't have to be perfect. They can be sort of shaky even, because of course they're waves. So feel free to make them wavy if that's what you'd prefer. Mine are kind of straight. They look more like rolling waves, but it's totally up to you. How's everybody's looking, Kira?
Good. We've got some people working on easels. We got kiddos. We got lots of people painting tonight.
That's awesome.
Lots of serious faces painting the ocean.
Well, good. I hope you guys are relaxing. I hope you're enjoying it. Getting to turn your mind off a little bit for an hour or two on our Monday night painting classes.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying it's super relaxing.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad you guys get to have a relaxing moment. So it's really important. This is just something to always remember when you're painting. If you feel like you're done, you're done. So it's really easy to overwork stuff, and you just want to keep on going. And I could just sit here painting these waves all day and continuing, but I feel like a little bit is for the best. If I keep going, it's gonna get really busy and I might overwork it. So like I said before, if you feel like you're done, it means you were probably done about 1.5 minutes ago, and you should go ahead and put your brush down. And then it's good to just step away. So keep doing that. Again, just in case people were catching up, in case they didn't have the hair dryer, we had we had Aqua paint. It is acrylic, but the color was Aqua, and we mixed it with a bunch of water. So it's just a touch of paint with a good bit of water. And then we just used our 3/4 inch flat brush to do sort of a faux watercolor effect. So we just sort of layered this transparent paint on top of our opaque paint to make it look darker in certain areas. And we pressed down just a little bit for thin lines, and then we pressed down much harder for our thick lines. So that's sort of what we did here. Like I said, make as many waves as you want. You can make yours straight, or you can make yours a little bit wavier if you prefer. So yeah, that's what that step was for those of you who are just catching up. And once you've done that, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna hit it with our hair dryer again. So I'm gonna do that now. I'm just gonna make sure that my ocean is nice and dry. And the reason we're doing that is because we're about to put some warm tones onto our ocean as a reflection of the sky. And if we tried to mix our pinks and oranges on top of this bluish green right now, it would start getting really brown. We wanna make sure that we have our nice, beautiful, pure blue colors and our nice, beautiful, pure pink and orange colors. That's how we're drying in between steps. So I'm gonna do that now. So when you pulled your tape up, if it bled, I meant to say this when I pulled mine up, you can go ahead and put the tape back down on the other side. So on your water side, so we had the tape up here on the sky side and we pulled it up. So if some of it bled, if some of the blue bled onto that, put your tape, here I'll show you how I would do it. So if it bled, I would take my tape and I would cover up my water side right to the edge. So make sure it's right to the edge, and then I would paint my sky color on top of that. So I would still have my nice crisp line, and I would correct it if that blue had bled onto the top and made it uneven.
That's a great tip.
Helps some of you guys. Yeah, hopefully that helps some of you guys if you did have that problem. Because you never know with tape, it's always sort of a mystery. You always hope it works. This is our FolkArt stencil tape, and it's really great for masking paint. But some tapes don't work as well as others, so I know that's kind of an issue for some people. Okay, so now we painted our waves and we dried it with our hairdryer. So what we're gonna do is do some dry brushing. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pick up my, I'm gonna grab my number 8 flat brush. And this is just sort of like a tiny flat brush. So if you've got like a 1/2 inch flat or a 1/4 inch flat, that will work perfectly fine for this. It does not need to be the exact same brush as mine. So we are going to start just sort of dry brushing some color into some of our waves. And to do that, we first want to know where our sun is, because if we're going to have our sun and sky reflecting in the waves, we kind of need to know where that is, right? So to do that, we're going to pick up some of our wicker white onto our brush. And like I said, we're doing a dry brush technique, so you want to wipe some of it off. You just want the tiniest, hopefully you can see my brush, the tiniest bit of paint in there. I hardly have any white paint in there. And like I said, because we're doing a dry brush effect, our brush needs to be dry. We don't want it to be totally sopping in paint. So we are going to put, or I'm going to put my sun right here, toward the left of my horizon, but you can feel free to put your sun wherever you'd like. So wherever your sun is, you just want to make sure your reflections are beneath it. So just like my original painting here, I'm going to put my sun towards the left side of my horizon. So to do that, like I said, I just picked up a little bit of my wicker white and I wiped most of it off. I'm just going to do sort of a, oops, I got blue there, sort of a circular motion right here, just over and over. I'm going to keep it as circle as I can. You can see I'm going to sort of build it up. There's hardly any paint there because I don't want a lot of paint, because it's going to be much easier to build it up than it is to take it away. So I'm just adding a tiny bit of paint at a time. You can kind of see it's starting to lighten there. I'm just going in a circle motion. I'm holding my brush upright. Make sure I don't have, I think I got blue on there. I don't want that. Just doing a really light, I'm just going very slowly. I'm taking my time because, like I said, if you were to grab a bunch of white and start painting there, you'd have a bright white circle there, which is fine if that's what you're looking for, but we have sort of a hazy sunset going on in this painting. So we're gonna sort of build up. It looks like there's lots of hazy sunset clouds right in front of our sun. So we can't see it very much. We just see the light coming through. So you can see I'm starting to build that circle up. I wanna make sure it's filled in on the inside, but I don't want it to be solid. Just a really light, airy circle right there on the, right above our horizon line. So hopefully, can you guys see that on camera? It's really subtle, which is what we're going for. So now we have a nice, subtle, sun. So if you went ahead and you grabbed too much white paint and you went back and you got too much white paint on there, go ahead and really quickly before it dries, we're gonna do some finger painting. You're gonna take your finger and you're just gonna blend it in. Just like if you were doing, if you wear makeup, if you were doing makeup and sort of blending in your blush or something, you're gonna blend it in really quickly with your finger, and that's gonna keep it nice and dry, so you have a nice subtle sun there in case you got too much white paint on there, because it's gonna be really hard to wipe off, and it's gonna be really hard to try to get that color back underneath it because you'll have to paint the whole sky again.
Could you use this technique also if you wanted to add clouds in the sky?
Absolutely. We're actually going to add a little bit of clouds, but yes, you can totally use this technique for clouds. We're going to add a little bit more with our white, a little bit of haziness sort of to the sky, which I'll show you. We're going to, right above our horizon line still, I'm going to take my brush and I have very little white paint, just the same as we did with our sun. And we're gonna just sort of go left and right, right over the sun. We're keeping this left and right motion for our whole sunset. As you can see, it's sort of a trend for this painting. We're gonna go left and right. It's a little bit too subtle. I'm not getting any paint on there. Right above the sun. Just sort of making these like dry brush streaks, and that's gonna look like hazy clouds. And again, you wanna put a little at a time and build it up. So if you put too much, it's gonna be so hard to take it away. And since we've done that beautiful ombre that we spent so much time on, it's gonna be really tricky to try to fix that. So just make sure, take my word for it, and only use a tiny bit of paint at a time, and try to be patient and just build up that white. You can go up a little bit further with your hazy clouds if you want, go further into your colored sky. We sort of have this nice summer haze. I'm gonna go right above my horizon line. Okay. Again, just take your time doing this. You really don't want to put too much paint. It does take a little bit of patience because it feels like you're not really doing anything. It feels like you're hardly getting any paint on your canvas, but it really does, after a little while, start to build up, and you really start seeing that. And it's way easier to control. The less paint you have on your brush at a time, it's always easier to control where your paint goes. The more paint is on your brush, the harder it is to control how your paint is going onto your canvas. And that's pretty much for any painting. That's why I always clean my brush off after I mix paint with it, because I don't want all of that wet paint on my brush. Okay, so you can see it is really subtle. Hopefully you guys can kind of see those hazy white line, the hazy white clouds that I painted in. It's subtle on purpose, but you can feel free to do more or less. It's totally up to you. Okay, so now, see, I just got a little too much there, so I'm gonna blend it with my finger. I do a lot of finger painting when I'm doing these. Usually not intentional, but it happens anyway. So I still have my number 8 flat brush, which is this tiny little flat guy. And then I still have white paint on my brush. I haven't washed it off yet, because we're gonna start adding some white to our waves. So we're gonna start adding the reflection. So you can see here in my final painting, my sun is here, and therefore my reflection is right below it in the water. So that's just how we're gonna paint ours. So if you chose to put your sun on the right or in the center, wherever it is, just you wanna make sure that your reflections are right below it. So I'm gonna tilt it, my painting just a little, because it's easier for me to, it's more comfortable for me to paint it this way. So I'm gonna go right at the top of the waves. So, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this. So right below where the darkness is, that's sort of where the top of the wave is. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm gonna start just very gently, just like we did the sky. Oops, I got a little bit there that I didn't want. Just sort of blending it in right at the top of the light areas. So again, we're still dry brushing. We're just sort of putting in a little bit of white, and we're going on the top of the light areas. So here's another light area right here. Just gonna go just at the top of it. We're ignoring the dark areas of Aqua that we sort of watercolored in. We're ignoring those. We're just going on the light areas for now. And I'm going towards the top of those light areas. I'm just blending in some white. And again, they're gonna be stacked right on top of each other, just right below where our sun is. That's where our reflection would be. It's where our sun and colors are reflecting. Just a little bit of white, and we're gonna continue adding more colors to these, so just keep that in mind. Just right at the top of my white areas. I mean, my light areas. The light blue.
Good. We can see everybody painting their waves.
Awesome. Can't wait to see everybody's paintings on the Facebook group tomorrow. Okay. So everybody's look a little different because of course your waves were all in different places. We didn't all put our waves in the exact same spots. So your highlights are going to be in different places depending on where your waves were. So just want to make sure that you're only paying attention to this area right here. We're not putting any over there. We're just putting it on this area. Just white for now. So just again, really quick, we did it just like we did those hazy clouds up top, but we did it a little more organized because we paid attention to just the tops of the light areas. So I'm going to set my brush down. I'm not going to dry it off just yet. I'm going to set it down because I want to put some of this light pink color into my waves, and it's all dried out. I ran out. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick up my larger brush, and I'm just going to mix some of this light pink. So again, it was 1 part hot pink and 1 part wicker white because I need some more of that light pink color we mixed. There we go. And it doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be the exact color that it was before. You just want to make sure it's pretty close. Okay. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick up, we're going to do the exact same thing just below each of our white areas. So I still have my tiny brush and I have my number 8 flat, and I haven't cleaned it off yet. It's still dry and it's got white paint in it. I'm going to pick up some of this light pink color and I'm going to dry brush it right beneath where our white is. And again, we're all experts now. By the time we painted our sun, we've painted our hazy clouds, and we've started painting our white reflections in the water, this should be easy. So this is when it can get a little bit hairy when you start painting warm tones on top of your greenish blue color. That this is, if you were trying to do this when it was wet, it would start getting really muddy and it would get kind of brown or gray. But right now, since we're doing dry brush and all the paint beneath it is super dry, we're gonna keep our pure colors. That's kind of why we're doing it this way. Again, just nice baby pink right beneath where we put all of our white dry brushing. A little hint of it down here. Okay. So once you guys catch up with that, I'm gonna go ahead and clean my large brush off because I left it in my water. How's everybody doing, Kira?
Good, painting along. Everybody, someone said they feel like they're at the beach, people on vacation painting together.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. People wanting to know how they can watch it after, so I'm trying to post that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I always like to watch tutorials whenever I'm watching like how-to videos or instructional videos like this. I always like to watch it once first and get inspired and then go back and do the project along with it. I just find it easier to sort of know what I'm going to do and then do it as opposed to trying to paint along. So just a little tip for these Monday night classes. Sometimes it's good just to enjoy it and then paint it after, which is great. I love that Michaels keeps the classes up on their website so you can go back and watch it as much as you need to.
I was gonna say, and it's free, it's amazing.
It is amazing. We've had so much fun doing these classes with Michaels. Okay, so when you're starting to finish up your dry brushed light pink color, we're gonna grab our big brush again. I just cleaned it off, and we're gonna do a little bit more mixing, just a teeny bit. I'm gonna pick up some of my hot pink, just a tiny bit, and I'm gonna pick up a little touch of my sunny yellow, and I'm gonna mix those together. And I have this really bright, pretty orange color. I'm gonna put a little more yellow because I want it to be a little bit lighter. And I think this is a little bit brighter than what I'm looking for because our sky is super pastel and this is not the same color. This is a really bright orange. So of course, in order to lighten this up, we're gonna put a little bit of white into it. So we have this nice peachy tangerine color that is going to reflect the color in our skies much more accurately than that bright orange would. So now it's a much closer match to that sky color, that one that we blended.
So people are asking what did you mix?
I mixed, I started with a little bit of hot pink, and then I put a little bit of sunny yellow, and then I added some white to get this nice peach color. We want it to be similar to this color that we blended in the sky. We want it to be nice and soft, so it looks just like that same color. Because this one, remember, we blended it on the canvas. We didn't do it on our palette, so that's why we need to go back and mix it now. So once you've got that done, it doesn't need to be just like mine. It just needs to be just like yours. However yours is in your sky is what your color should look like. So if your sky is a little darker than mine, then maybe you want to put a little bit less white. Or if your sky is even lighter than mine, maybe put a little bit more white. So you just want to make sure it matches your sky. So I still have my number 8 flat brush, my little tiny guy. I have not put it in water yet. This is sort of my little dry brush. I'm going to pick up some of this peachy color, and I'm going to start blending it in just below the pink. So where we blended and dry brushed this pink in, I'm going to put this peachy color. And so this now, you can kind of see as you're dry brushing it, if we would have tried to blend these when they were wet, we have a lot of green tones beneath this, and this is a lot of orange tones. And whenever you would try to mix green and orange, you're gonna get brown. So this is why this is the sort of combination that we really did the dry brushing for, is when we wanted to add this pretty sherbety orange color on top of our greenish blue, even blue just with orange. It's not a pretty, it wouldn't be a pretty picture. It would be sort of brown and muddy. So that's why we're sticking with this dry brush effect. Should make sure it's nice and blended. Some nice reflections in our water. And again, you can put as much or as little as you want. It's your painting, so however much of the sky you want reflected is how much dry brushing you should do. I really like how it adds a little bit more color to the ocean. It sort of combines it all together. It's not so starkly separated. It's sort of one cohesive painting now that we've got these pretty reflections in the water. So when you're finished with this, when you're finished doing all of your hazy clouds and finishing all of your reflections in the water, you can go ahead and you can grab a little liner brush.
What size liner brush?
What'd you say?
Is there a specific size for the liner brush?
Any tiny brush will do. I can't talk either. I have the number 3 liner brush, but whatever you got is fine. Even just a little pink or a Sharpie. I'm using the one from this Craft Smart variety pack that I got at Michael's, which again is the number 3 liner. I think it's the only liner brush in the pack actually. But any tiny brush will be fine. And you can go ahead and you can make sure to sign your painting, because that was the last step for our summer sunset. So I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm really glad that you guys all got a few minutes to, hopefully if you're with family or friends, you're able to relax a little bit, or even just a little bit of alone time to sort of turn your mind off and paint this painting with me. So I just want to thank you guys so much for joining. I love doing these Monday paint nights with you, and we're gonna be back next Monday. So Kira, I'm gonna hand it over to you.
Oh, the worst part ever. Picking for dinner. I hate it. I love it. I hate it.
So make sure you guys post, go on, it's called Let's Paint with Plaid, and it's on Facebook. So just search that and then search groups, Let's Paint with Plaid, and you'll find the group and join and post your painting.
Yeah, and I always get these people without a last name, so I always feel like I'm going to pick 10 people, which is fine. All right. Lena Jenkins.
Woo!
Still watching?
If you're still watching, comment so we know.
Yeah. Lena Jenkins, are you still on? Ah, give her another.
Oh, there she
yes,
is.
yes, yay! I can't see her, but I see her in the chat. So Lena, if you go to our Plaid Facebook page and direct message us and let them know that you won product on the Michael's Community Classroom class, they will go ahead and hook you up with all that and get it shipped out to you. So thank you guys so much. Check out Michael's Community Classroom page. Sign up for another one of Jesse's Let's Paint classes. We'll be here next Monday. We should have the other one with us. We don't have it to preview, I don't think, in the room, but sign up. We are excited. Thank you guys. Thank you, Michael's. Get all your FolkArt product at Michael's, order it, and you'll be ready to go next week. So thank you guys. Have a great week.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.